G'day everyone, welcome back. For those who don't know me, my name's Kerry Corney and today I'm going to show you how to apply Aussie oil and Ultra Shine. This is an Australian family owned company. They've been around for more than 30 years and their stuff is absolutely brilliant. You can't beat it. It's called U-Beaut. Everything that I talk about, as much as I can, will be listed in the description below. So these two products will be listed there if you want to go check them out after, and as well as other little bits and pieces that I use. This piece is a piece of camphor laurel and I have sanded this first with the electric sander all the way up to about 180 grit with the electric sander, and then I jump into the rotary sanders, the handheld rotary sanders, and I find just for myself I get a better finish using these. And I also have, when I'm sanding, air compressor just here, and I blow the dust out within all the grain. I get rid of all the dust so it reveals any torn grain or any blemishes that I need to fix before I move on to the next grit. So with that said, we'll get straight into it. Now I've got this board here as well. This is what I usually use when I'm wet sanding, and I just place that underneath the project that I'm doing, just so if I so happen to get any flicks or stuff or oils flicking around, I don't want it to go on the lathe and just go straight onto the board. Now, I first start with the Ultra Shine. It's a cut and polish compound, and inside I just have flannelette there, but it has abrasive within the compound. For all these compounds I apply it with flannelette sheet, and how I do that is, this is probably a little bit better, it's cleaner. I cut them into big squares like this, and then I fold it back again, and then over again like that. And when I hold the sheet, I place my thumb and my two fingers like that, and the polish goes there. And the reason why I do that so thick is so it doesn't burn my fingers. This is a friction polish and it needs to be burnt into the surface of the project that you're doing. So you don't want to burn your fingers at the same time, so that's the reason why it's so thick. And I've found that with flannelette sheet, it applies the material a lot more evenly and you get a more consistent end result. So first of all, I scoop a bit out onto the rag like this, and then I work it across the piece, and with the lathe turned down low, I apply it slowly. Spinning in reverse, and then I hold my hand around my wrist like this, and then I work the material back and forth over the top. As I'm moving the cloth back and forth, you might see a white line starting to appear, and all I do is move that line from left to right across the top of the surface. I hold my wrist with my alternate hand, my other hand, and that stabilizes my right hand. And I hold this between there as well, I forgot to mention, so if it did catch on anything, it can just simply lift out of my hand straight away. I don't wrap it around my fingers because that could end in an injury, so I always just hold it between your thumb and your fingers, the three fingers on the back, or your two fingers sometime as well. So I just noticed I was a little bit light on down here, so I'm just going to apply a little bit more of the cutting compound down the bottom here, and away we go. Now it's a friction polish, and you have to push it in. Just firm. I haven't got all my weight on it, it's just firm. And the reason why I've got this project in the shark jaws is it allows me to get around the back a lot easier when I'm sanding as well. Alright, so that's really starting to just look amazing already, but you have to remember that this is not a finish. This is the cutting compound. Before I move on the inside, I'll just get a clean bit of cloth and I'll just buff that off. And now I'll do the inside here. And now the process is the exact same. Fold the sheet over, holding it with my fingers. Get a little bit on there. And I'll just move it around on the inside. And then start the labour. Using my left hand to support my right hand. Just going to buff that off. And now that looks absolutely amazing. You'll be surprised of how well that cut and polish just makes everything just pop and zing. But you just have to remember that that's not the finish. You have to apply now the finish. And now this is Aussie oil. It's a high gloss friction oil. And the first thing you need to do is shake it quite vigorously. You have to shake it for a little while, until it becomes almost a milk looking colour on the inside from the outside of the bottle. Now fold the flannelette like we spoke about before. Get a nice decent piece of flannelette and fold it up. And I make sure there's no real big lumps and bumps. My fingers are holding it like that, and I just pop it in front of the fold of where my fingers are. That's the fold there, so I'm going to pop it where my finger is there. And for this size piece, just under a 5-cent coin. And then I'll start just rubbing it over the top of it. Turn my pack on here. Start at a low speed, because you don't want it to flick up everywhere. Get it across. Now the secret is to not move your fingers around, just back and forth. Down and then back. Applying the same amount of pressure across the surface. Not moving your fingers. So imagine your fingers are frozen in position when you apply this finish. And when you go to take the cloth off, which I will in a minute, you remove it in one motion. And you'll find doing it that way will leave no lines. If you move your fingers around on top and apply different amounts of pressure on the cloth, I've found that it will make lines, it'll create lines in your work that you'll think they're sanding lines, but it's the finish. Another thing that I've found as well, if I use too much, so a little bit less is more. So less is more, and I found that it doesn't leave lines, and you can apply this finish one after the other and then it's done. So for bowls I apply 3 coats just like I did on the outside. So I'll go again 3 times, 2 more times, and it just makes the grain pop, makes it sing, and then it's done. You're not having to oil another day, wait, buff it off, and then apply another coat, buff it off. This is finished. The secret is to hold it in the same position and apply across the surface and not to move your fingers around. So if you found you've got lines on your work after, just get the E Ultra Shine back again and then start again, and then just apply it on, work it in, and then buff it off, and that will remove the polish lines. So now we'll apply it to the inside of the bowl, and it's the exact same process. I just hold the cloth the exact same way, and then holding it with my right hand, supporting it so it doesn't drop, and my thumb and my fingers on the back of the cloth like so. Hold it the same way. Start at a slow speed. And as you can see, it's absolutely gorgeous stuff. I'll bring you around on the inside. It's quite hard to beat. Thank you so much for stopping by and watching the video. I'll direct you over here as to how I cored this bowl out and the Woodcut bowl saver system, and I hope you got something out of the video. Cheers. Thank you.